Wyatt Johnston is one of the NHL's most promising young stars. With the departure of Evgeny Dodonov and an aging Jamie Benn, the opportunity for a bigger role is right in front of him. Will he capture it?
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. Happy Friday, Stars fans, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. Will Wyatt Johnston shine in a bigger role with the Dallas Stars next season? And maybe he doesn't have to be shackled down by Jamie Benn and Evgeny Dodonov like he was a year ago. We're going to discuss that on today's episode of Locked On Stars, including some Central Division projections as well a bit later on, and some new number updates for new stars. Stick around to find out what Nathan Bastian, what Radek Faksa is going to wear next season. A bit of a spoiler. It's the same number he wore for a number of years when he was in Dallas. But find out for Bastian and some others as well. But we're going to kick things off with a Wyatt Johnston discussion. I went back and looked at some of the analytics with Wyatt Johnston playing alongside Evgeny Dodonov and Jamie Benn. But I want to start first with just his overall production since joining the league. It's still remarkable. He's only 21 years of age. And yes, he had a very, very disappointing postseason run, but he's played in all 82 games in his first 3 seasons in the NHL. 82, 82, 82. And those numbers have just improved a little bit more with each season. Went from 24 goals to 32. He had 33 last year, and he went through that massive slump. 17 assists. He bumped that up to 33. Then last year, 38. 41 points, 65, and then to 71. Funny enough, his penalty minutes actually went down a bit, 20 to 38, and then he only had 14 last season. But his points per 60 went down by a decent margin, 2.16 from 2.51 when he put up 65 points in 82 games in 23-24. But he was playing a lot more. He's playing a minute more average than he was in his second year. So he's getting more opportunities and he's going to get more ice time. And we expect to see that again as well, but potentially with better line mates. And there was a lot of discussion about Wyatt Johnston last season. And for some of the issues he had alongside Benn and Dodonov, he still was rather productive. He was top 5 on the team in points and goals. He was very productive on the power play. That's where he really cashed in. He finished with 25 points. 25 of his 71 came on the man advantage. So the numbers at 5-on-5 are not as spectacular because of what a lot of Stars fans were pointing out in my comments and were at least discussing on Twitter and other various spaces. He was being held back by Benn and Dodonov. And Benn, of course, continues to age. His production is. Dodonov has been a solid depth piece for Dallas. He scored 20 goals last season, but that was a line that really struggled, and they played a lot together. The second most minutes at 5-on-5 among any trio with the Dallas Stars during the regular season last year. 210 minutes, and they played quite a bit in the postseason as well. They played a total of 84 minutes. So Johnston was strapped with Benn and Dodonov, and they really struggled when you look at some of the advanced numbers. In the postseason, their expected goals percentage was 43.5%. 43.5% ranks 6th on the Dallas Stars. Among all the trios, they sort of trotted out there. Their expected goals for, pretty dang low. It was about 3. And out of all the trios that at least played significant time, that was a lot. And they were really poor defensively as well. They just really, really struggled. And we all know the issues the Stars had with scoring really outside of the top line in a lot of ways. Johnston only had 6 points, 4 goals in the 19 playoff games. In the previous couple of years, he had 26 points combined in what was about, if my math correct, 37 playoff games. So not too shabby for a 20 and 21-year-old. But here's some of the advanced numbers at 5-on-5 during the regular season, why I believe Wyatt's going to have a chance to really shine. And we could see another year of improvement for Wyatt Johnston on the numbers. We're still almost waiting for him to have like a really, really true slump. And we've seen that in the middle of a season, like a year ago. I think he went through a 14 to 16 game goal drought, and he still scored 33 goals, and it was an improvement on the year before. I think he can do that again because of this potential role he could play in. He won't have to be alongside a Jamie Benn, who's going to have a role change. At least that's what we assume coming into this season. Johnston may have an opportunity to even play with Mikko Rantanen, depending on how Glenn Gulutzan wants to shake up these combinations up front. Will he play with Matt Duchene? Everything seems like an upgrade because of the subtraction of players like Dodonov and Benn. And it was a line at one point that did have a lot of success. And Johnston, of course, as a young up-and-coming player, he probably needed that. He needed some guidance. And I would bet that he would be the first to tell you he needed that to be sort of under the wing of Jamie Benn early. But you look at the numbers, Wyatt Johnston with Dodonov and Jamie Benn. This is from Natural Stat Trick. This is actually really fun. You can do this on your own. It's a free website. You can actually go to a line tool, and you can pick players, defensive pairings, and then you can see their numbers with or without these certain individuals. So the expected goals for was 7.81 at 5-on-5 in 211 minutes last season for the trio of Dodonov, Benn, and Johnston. Now you go to Johnston without Dodonov and without Jamie Benn, it jumps up to an expected goals for of 17.51, like a massive, massive jump. And if you look at some of the expected goal numbers, even from the regular season last year, when Johnston played with Benn when he played with Robertson and Hintz, like they were really good. One of the best lines for Dallas in that category. It ranked rather high because Johnston, got some time. He just didn't get a ton of it, but when he did, they were really, really successful when Johnston got to play alongside Robertson and Hintz. But that just didn't happen regularly, of course, because Stars had some injuries, and it was just all sort of over the place at points. But even Johnston, Rantanen, and Robertson, who got a little bit of time together at the end of the regular season, they put some good numbers, but it's a really, really small sample size. You can't really take a lot out of it. That's why it's going to be really imperative that Glenn Gulutzan and this staff find a way to put Johnston in a role where he can really succeed. And maybe that's bumping Duchene down. I know Duchene had a great season, but this goes back to our Wednesday conversation. That's not going to be sustainable for Matt Duchene as he's going to grow older. It was a great year. And if he can sustain any sort of that production, 60, 70 points, that is more than enough from Duchene. But now you have an opportunity to have Johnston potentially take that number 2C role. Maybe it bumps down Duchene. Allow Johnston to play in the top 6 and play with line mates that are going to elevate him. At some point, you hope when he gets into his prime, he can elevate others. He'll make his line mates better. But at this point, can you put him in a position that allows him to be really, really successful? And that's why I think there's such a large sector of Stars fans wondering if or clamoring for he gets to play on the right wing, maybe with Hintz and Robertson. Maybe it drops Rantanen down. Or you move Hintz over. Johnston can be your 1C now. He plays alongside Rantanen and Robertson. But this is going to be a really big year for Johnston because of Goldson. He has already made his message clear. He wants to bring physicality to Dallas. So Johnston may have to adapt to some of that. He's going to have to start playing a more, I guess, a conscious physical role. He's not asking for his players to go around and just throw their bodies around willy-nilly, but to finish checks, to be different on the forecheck, to play a different style. And maybe he gets to play alongside even a Duchesne in Sagan, or any combination of Hintz and Ranton and Hintz and Robertson. This is a great, I think, almost trying out period to some degree of, like, are you going to be that number one guy? Are you going to be right behind the rear of Roope Hintz as the face of the future of the Stars down the middle? Because you always got to be strong down the middle. Can Johnston be that? This is a big season, I think, for him. And maybe that's too high of expectations on a 21-year-old, but we've seen it year after year. He's gotten a little bit better. Can he take another step and truly start putting him in the conversation of, all right, he's being noticed as a guy, as was Roope a few years ago. Like, okay, like they got a really strong number one center, and he's on a really good deal as well. And Johnston's a bit similar. He's on a very, very, very good value at $8.4 million. So I just think it's, I think it's an opportunity where he's going to really shine now without, Johnston, or excuse me, without Ben and Dodonov. I don't want to get too into the weeds on some of the numbers. I know I sort of threw some out there because there's just so many you can look at, but that expected goals number, I was a bit shocked when you look at when he's without those two, it jumps up almost 10 points. I feel like that's a really, really big jump. And it gives you, I think, a reason to be excited about what the Stars can do up front, even without some of the subtractions and some of that depth. Well, now you get to ask some guys to do more, and I think they're ready for it. Okay, and the Stars got to be ready for the Central Division, which is always tough. There were some Central Division projections on Twitter I want to get into, discuss a bit of the opponents in the Central Division and maybe where you see the Stars falling in the Central Division next season. We'll do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready to kick off with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. FanDuel is awesome. You got player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in as the live action unfolds. It makes the game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. You can just play whenever you want. Of course, we got football Mondays, Thursdays, even Saturdays, Sundays now. Get in the action with FanDuel. It's quick, it's easy, and it adds a little more energy to your weekend. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app today by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Alrighty, the Central Division, always tough, but I think there are opportunities for some teams to fall, and of course, some teams to improve, as is every single year in the NHL. But Jay Fresh Hockey tweeted this out, a pretty popular hockey account on X, and put together some projections based off depth charts and all that good stuff. And I just sort of wanted to run through it and discuss some other depth charts within the Central Division, and not so much the Stars. We've kind of beaten that to a pulp over the summer. But it has the Stars with 109 points, which I think is a bit high. I don't know if the Stars are going to get there, but they have them winning the Central. Colorado 104, Utah 94, Winnipeg 93, and Winnipeg would be a playoff team in this projection. Then you have Minnesota, St. Louis, Nashville, Chicago. Now, just taking a very, very general look at the other teams in the Central. St. Louis, I think, is going to be a playoff team this year. They were a team I believe I predicted to jump into the postseason a year ago. Of course, they just missed out. I like their lineup. They went out and got Suter, P.S. Suter to add to their bottom six. They still have, I think, young, good talent on the back end, but with some veterans there. They went out and got Cam Fowler at the deadline last year. So I just think they're going to be an interesting team. I'm pretty bullish on what the Blues could do. They of course got Nick Bjugstad as well and Bolduc, so they've sort of solidified their bottom six, and they still have a lot of fun young talent that can score. And Bennington, man, he turned it on late in the year. Really from the Four Nations on, he was strong. St. Louis is going to be an interesting side. Colorado didn't do a lot, but they're still good. Let's face it, Dallas, Colorado, they're the teams to beat in the Central. They were able to hold on to Brock Nelson. They also got Burns. He's 40, but we know Brent Burns has been a solid, at least addition with Carolina over the last few years. So Colorado's going to be decent. Winnipeg, I think they're going to struggle to score, and I think they're going to be a tad slow. And I don't see a lot there. They still have some great pieces, of course. They were able to hold on to their core, right? They have Connor and Scheifele, Hellbutt, Morrissey, Sandberg, DeMello. That's a really good core. They'll be fine, but I don't know what we're going to get from them just outside of Scheifele and Connor up front. I know Perfetti's a good player, but I just think they're going to be kind of slow. They of course went and got Nyquist, but like Jonathan Toews is your second line center who took a year off, and he's 37. I think it's going to be an interesting season. And Hellbutt, of course, can render all of this mute, as he's done the last couple seasons and be good. But I think Winnipeg has a chance to maybe drop out of that conversation as a true contender in the Central. I said that a year ago, and obviously they had such a phenomenal season, but the Stars were still able to take them down. Minnesota didn't make a lot of moves. Tarasenko, Sturm, right, and they were able to extend Rossi. So the core's still there. I was really high on Minnesota last year. If they stay healthy, they'll be fine. You say that with every team, but Minnesota especially went through so many injuries. It was disgusting, it felt like. Nashville, they signed Perbix, which is a guy I wanted the Stars to go out and get. They gave Nick Hague, a pretty big deal. Pretty similar up front, of course. They're kind of running it back. They can't be as worst as last year. Utah, really good moves again, right? They went out. They got Peterka for a really, really strong deal. They added Nate Schmidt, Vanacek, a backup goalie. So they got some pieces. In Chicago, they were able to hold on to Donato. Burakovsky is a veteran they went out and got that could potentially help up front, at least scoring wise, if he finds a bit of form. I don't have a ton to gripe with the projections, right? I think if I had to call it now, my top three of any combination, I would probably say Dallas, Colorado, Minnesota. I would give Winnipeg just a slight edge, I would give St. Louis a slight edge above Winnipeg in Utah. For whatever reason, I can't quit St. Louis. I like Kyrou, and it's easy to forget too. The Blues ended up with 93 points last season. I could be wrong there. Yeah, no, 96. Ended up with 96 points. Sorry, they went to the postseason. Sorry, I totally forgot they were a wild card team. They played the Jets. I was about to say, sorry, I was a bit off my rocker there. They did make the playoffs. Okay. It's been a long few months, I suppose. Yeah, 96 points. I think they have potential to get better. So that's why I would put them a slight edge above Winnipeg and even Minnesota, just because Wild again, like they have pieces, but I just don't know if they have enough. But we'll see. Minnesota team was a team last year that was leading the Central Division until they weren't with all the injuries. So, I just thought the projections were interesting. Nashville 87 points, Chicago still in the basement. I don't see Nashville really competing all that much. I think Utah would be a great story if they do jump in to the postseason. I think it would be big just for the market, and it'd be cool. I like Utah. The players they have, they're fun to watch. They were a good team last year too, until they weren't to some degree. So and you have to factor in Dallas 109 points. Why I think it's high because, and it would, in this case, win the President's Trophy. Just Golitzin and a whole new staff, not a whole new staff, but just systems. And I think there's going to be slight growing pains, but the Stars, of course, still have a good roster. And I think their talent alone is going to help them ease some of those. So, I'm gonna really enjoy the Central, and of course I'll give my official predictions in about a month. I always do that maybe a couple days before the beginning of the season, as always. But there's some projections out there I wanted to touch on today's show as well. We do have some new numbers for new Dallas Stars for next season. It's always exciting when they get the new numbers. Bastian taking over a number we thought one player was going to wear forever. You got Kolyachonok and, of course, Radek Faksa, who's returning. I'll tell you about what numbers they will be donning in Victory Green next season in just a moment. Hey, Locked On Stars listeners, we have an important request. Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners. That way we can make our podcast even better for you. This is your chance. You can tell us what you like, what you don't, and even answer some questions about our advertising. Just take about 5 to 10 minutes. You can go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes the survey as well will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. So if you take the time, which we would really appreciate, you can win $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that is lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can find the link in the show notes as well. And we do really appreciate you for helping us out. But to kind of kick you off into your weekend, number updates for new Dallas Stars and some returners. But Nathan Bastian and Kolyachonok both got new numbers for the upcoming year. Nathan Bastian will be wearing number 11. Yes, Logan Stankoven's old number, but they won't look very similar. I would think Bastian almost has a foot on Logan Stankoven at 6'4", or whatever he is, and Logan Stankoven was well below 6 feet tall. Not well below, but yes, Bastian with number 11. Kolyachonok will wear number 44. When I see that on a Star sweater, I think Jason Arnott jumps out to me right away. Not a ton of number 44s in Dallas Stars history, if I'm not mistaken. Cody Ceci, of course, wore it this past year when he got traded. And as I Google this, I am curious. Okay, Sheldon Soray also wore it. Remember him. And Joel Hanley. Can never forget about Joel Hanley. But yeah, CC, Hanley, Arnott, and Soray. Arnott, I don't know why, it just sticks in my brain. It was just some of my really important years of development, I suppose. I think 44 in Stars, I think of him. But of course, you got CC and some others. So Todd Harvey as well. Let's not forget about him. Todd Harvey also wore 44 for a stint with Dallas. Always cool to see new Stars. And of course, finally, Radek Faksa, not really a new number. He's going to wear number 12 again. Radek Faksa, of course, a number he wore in Dallas for over 6 seasons. He is back to number 12. Stars tweeted it out on X. New chapter, same number for Radek Faksa. So yeah, Bastian Faksa, the The Bash brothers, I suppose, 11 and 12. I think you're going to see a lot of them together. So who's ever going to be on their wing? We need to see 13. So Blackwell may need to change numbers here. We're number 13. Let's have this numerical order on the fourth line. But of course, a young defenseman the Stars got from Pittsburgh as well with 44. So there's some new numbers and new updates. Always something to keep an eye on each and every year. But really light stuff here to kick you off into your weekend here on a Friday. Want to thank you as always for listening and making us a part of your day. Continue to subscribe. Let's continue to bump up those numbers. Try to get to 4,500 subscribers by game one against the Jets. It's when the Stars open the season. And we're under 2 months away now? More like a month and a half. Hockey is right around the corner. Training camp as well. A lot of great stuff. So comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell as well. I hope everybody enjoys their weekend. Week 1 of college football is already kicking off. Of course, we got the NFL. Although Cowboys fans are just in despair once again with Micah Parsons. But we do want to tell you about college football fans, or at least tell you about the Locked On College Football Kickoff Show. The inaugural show just went on this last week. It was fantastic. You can catch it on Locked On Amazon Fire TV. Great conversations. We get our local hosts on there. Catch college football kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. Just had the initial shows we said on Thursday. It was awesome. Jesse Hawley, of course, which is a local guy in Dallas. DFW at least was on, and they did a great job. So you can check that out as well. But that's going to do it for us on Locked On Stars. Again, please subscribe. Love all you guys. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. We'll see you next week on Locked On Stars. So long.